How's it going, everyone? So, today I wanted to talk about this book right here, The Psychology of Money. It's a very good book. I just finished reading it last week. Well, by last week, I mean a couple of days ago. So, I wanted to get into it. There's a chapter that summarizes the contents of this book. Now, I'm not going to spoil it or anything. Well, maybe some of it. But it's a really good book. And the summary, I feel like, really ties it up really well, but I would still highly recommend that you go in and read the entirety of this book because there's a lot of gems in here. But let's get into it. I used a piece of gum here as a bookmark, so let's dive in. So this page is like the introductory page, but then we can start going into some of these life lessons right here. So go out of your way to find humility when things are going right, and forgiveness, compassion when they go wrong. Because it's never as good or as bad as it looks. The world is big and complex. Luck and risk are both real and hard to identify. Do so when judging both yourself and others. Respect the power of luck and risk, and you'll have a better chance of focusing on things you can actually control. A little humility goes, or a lot of humility goes a really long way. I try to be as humble as I possibly can, and just being able to conduct myself with humility brings a lot of opportunities, or at least that's what I've felt. Less ego, more wealth. Pretty much agree with that one. Saving money is the gap between your ego and your income. Wealth is what you don't see. So when you see people driving around in flashy cars or having the latest and the greatest, chances are probably broke. Next up, manage your money in a way that helps you sleep at night. This is a really good one because a lot of people make decisions that basically make them lose sleep, have a ton of sleepless nights because of the decisions you made regarding money, whether it's a loan you have to pay off or money that you put in a risky asset or environment. That's different from saying you should aim to earn the highest returns or save a specific percentage of your income. Some people won't sleep well unless they're earning the highest returns. So be it. Others will only get a good rest if they're conservatively invested. I think that's me. To each their own, but the foundation of does this help me sleep at night is the best universal guidepost for all financial decisions. If you want to do better as an investor, the single most powerful thing you can do is increase your time horizon. This one, okay, I could probably reread this one because I don't really understand it. Time, well, yeah, it talks about time, is the most powerful force in investing. It makes the little things grow and big mistakes fade away. It can't neutralize luck and risk, but it pushes results closer towards what people deserve. I think this one makes a lot of sense because as long as you have time, I think just to being invested in time and continuing to be an investor will make you one, or a better one. But just being patient, I guess. Become okay with a lot of things going wrong. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. I believe this one is pretty resounding, especially with the types of opportunities that are available nowadays. I've made a lot of decisions that have turned out to be, I would consider them failures, but because I made those decisions, I was able to get experience that helped me out with other ones. I'm going to start off with the second sentence. No matter what you're doing with your money, you should be comfortable with a lot of stuff not working. That's just how the world is. So you should always measure how you've done by looking at your full portfolio rather than individual investments. I can pretty much put a somewhat of a good example here. In my portfolio, I've made a lot of bad decisions, especially in crypto. I wouldn't really consider myself a crypto investor anymore, but I put not too much, but I would say about $1,000 in crypto and lost a good chunk of it. So now I just stay away from doing that. But that doesn't really show the full picture. I've made thousands of dollars on certain stocks and options and precious metals, which is what I'm invested in. So I have a moat of other investments. So if one investment doesn't work out for me, I can try to use, or not use, but have the other ones as a backup plan just in case. Kind of a light version of putting your eggs in different baskets. It is fine to have a large chunk of poor investments and a few outstanding ones. That's usually the best case scenario. Judging how you've done by focusing on individual investments makes winners look more brilliant than they really were, and losers appear more regrettable than they should. Use money to gain control of your time. This one's a big one because, in my opinion, money is time. You give your time to get money. And a really good example that I was talking about with my fiance just last night is that a lot of people have the assumption, I had the assumption that money comes and goes. Yeah, technically it does, right? You get money, you earn money, you spend it, whatever. The problem with this idea is that it's kind of an excuse when you're broke, because you could just tell yourself, oh, I'll get more money next paycheck, or I'll get another job, or I'll do this and that and make more money. Yes, there is a high probability that you'll make more money, but the problem is you get the money, but you don't get the time. There's no way to get that time back that you already spent making that previous amount of money. So that just taught me how to respect my own time even more, is the fact that I'm trading my time laboring, working, giving services in order to make that money. So any money made is time spent until you learn how to make money work for you. But I would say the vast majority of people are in that same boat. Be nicer and less flashy. I love this one. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. You might think you want a fancy car or a nice watch, but what you probably want is respect and admiration. You're more likely to gain those things through kindness and humility than horsepower and chrome. I love that. Not much I can really say to add on to that. Just really well put together by the author. Next up, save. Just save. You don't need a specific reason to save. I love this one. You can save for something, but it's, in my opinion, it's best just to save, just to pile up your cash, pile up your money, have it ready for investments, have it ready for a rainy day. Define the cost of success and be ready to pay it. I agree with this one. Pay into what you think is worthwhile. So there's a lot of things that are uncertain, certain things that you have to pay for, but you have to view them as fees. For example, the stock market going down. A lot of people get scared when they see their stocks going down, but most of the time, if you weather the storm, it comes right back up. And that negative emotion, that fear that you had, is payment for holding that asset. Worship room for error. I try to leave a lot of room for error in my strategies, especially in investing, because I already know there's a lot that can go wrong with my plans. So I always plan for room for error. For example, if I buy stock options, I make sure I'm not buying more than an amount that I'm absolutely confident I'm willing to lose. So for example, if I know $1,000 is too steep for me and I wouldn't like losing $1,000, there's no way that my options contracts are going to come up to that value. But I've done a lot of contracts where they're about $250 a pop, and every time I buy, I already assume that I lost that money. I already assume that that money's already lost, because the way I think about it is I could have already spent that somewhere else, or maybe going out to eat or something. Maybe this isn't the perfect example or mentality, but I'm comfortable knowing that if I lost that $250, it wouldn't break me. But a lot of people like to use leveraged contracts and put thousands of dollars, if not their entire savings, into it, and they get cleaned out. Having that $250 rule has let me, in a way, make more decisions and diversify the types of options that I'm getting. And I would say 7 times out of 10, I have made good returns. So that's my personal strategy. I'm not a financial strategist or advisor, so I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is pretty stupid, so take what you will. Avoid the extreme ends of financial decisions. Everyone's goals and desires will change over time. The more extreme your past decisions were, the more you may regret them as you evolve. I like this one because I feel like chasing extreme ends is very detrimental. Yes, you might come out on top, very wealthy. You see that stuff on Wall Street bets all the time, but it's insanely risky. And in my opinion, the chances of losing everything are way higher. You should like risk because it pays off over time. This is true, and it kind of goes back into the example that I just gave of the way I use risk to try to make a return. But you should be paranoid of ruinous risk because it prevents you from taking future risks that will pay off over time. I'm not comfortable risking 1%, even 1% of my net worth. That's why I have that $250 rule, because I know 250 is less than 1% of my net worth. Define the game you're playing and make sure your actions are not being influenced by people playing a different game. This one, pretty straightforward. If it seems a little cryptic, I would say don't play, like, if you're an expert in a certain field, don't try to change it just because someone's an expert in another field and they're trying to get you to invest in that. For example, I could use crypto scams as an example, but that's a whole scam. I would say, let's say you don't know anything about options trading and you listen to someone who is successful in options trading, I can almost guarantee that might not go well for you because they have a completely different strategy that works for them and not for you. I guess the whole thing about money is that it's very personalized, whether you believe it or not, or whether you know it or not. Respect the mess. Smart, informed, and reasonable people can disagree in finance because people have vastly different goals and desires. There's no single right answer, just the answer that works for you. Now let me tell you what works for me. I'm not going to read this. This is the last chapter of the book. Really good chapter, by the way. The author goes into what they do, what their strategies are. But to end this video, I believe that investing, saving money, and growing your wealth is something that's unique to everyone, and not one specific road, trail, strategy is going to work for you. I would say gauge your options based off of what you have right now. For example, if there's a certain amount that you're willing to risk, make sure it's reasonable and make sure that you're still going to be okay and you're not going to get cleaned out. And then also make sure what you can tolerate and what investments or types of investments you're knowledgeable in. All of these things paint the whole picture for your investing journey and your wealth journey as well. And this goes with anything really. It can be looking for a new job, or it can be looking for a new stock to add to your portfolio. Bottom line is, I really believe in being prepared and having information, even if you don't need it, because just doing your due diligence can make the difference between picking a good investment and a bad investment. Don't just go off of things or trends you see on YouTube. Really do your due diligence. There's other stories that I have that I could tie into this, but I feel this video has gone long enough, and I just want to end it on the note that everyone's journey is different, especially in finance, and just do what works for you and make sure that you're not taking more risk than you should, and you're making decisions that help you sleep better at night. And with that, I will bid you nighty night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.